When did someone ruin your day in a single sentence? When I was in 6th grade I had a huge crush on this girl. My friend at the time dated her friend for a while, and so he was good friends with my crush. I decided to tell him about this huge crush because I trusted him a lot. After I did this, he kept making jokes about it, one of which she was right next to us, and he was talking to his girlfriend while my crush was right next to her. Apparently my crush was talking some smack or something, and my friend looked at me and said, "Tell your girlfriend to shoot up," and she replied with "Girlfriend? Who wow?" I just looked away, my 12-year heart being crushed. Didn't expect this would get so many likes, holy heck. She cold liked you and said that to save herself. Something my dumb 12-year-old self would have done. Lol. I did this. I said EWW gross to a boy I liked because 12-year-old brain is silly. I had a 25-year-old girl say EWW gross about me once. She asked me a year later why I stopped asking her out because she had a crush on me. Sadly she had a different BF by that time. When I got pinned as a nurse, I was too broke to afford to buy something new, and I already owned very few nice clothes. I wore the nicest thing I owned, which still was not even business casual. It was a nice pair of shorts with a very nice top that matched. It was like dressed down business casual. I added some of my nicest jewelry, my nicest shoes. My sister did my hair. I thought I really looked at least okay enough to get by that day and be done with the ceremony. When I walked in to greet some of the people who came to see me get pinned, one of my instructors gave me a strange look and said, "I surely didn't think you'd come in shorts, dear." That's the only thing my mind will focus on about the day that I should have been celebrating. That all that stood out was I couldn't afford a dress or something. Frustrating. I was unemployed and a friend set me up to do a lunch with a VP of a company where I was hoping to work. Great lunch. I followed up with thanks and asked about next steps in setting up an interview. He wrote back, and the sentence that cut deep was, "You're a nice guy and smart, but you just seem mediocre in performance." How did you perform at a job interview? Like who can make that determination at a lunch interview? He was making reference mostly to my resume. I had bounced around a few roles prior to meeting him. I had done well, but not great. This was a startup that only wanted rockstars. Sound like a Chewbacca there, and you seem to have dodged a bullet. Rockstars show up to work late, and ninjas are never seen in the office. The guy working at Popeyes told me, "Sorry, we are out of chicken." Had that happen at KFC? I replied, "How?" At Dunkin' Donuts, "We are out of donuts right now." IDK, why they were even open. Now they're just Dunkin'. What are we Dunkin'? It's not clear anymore. Their sales are Dunkin', that's what's going on. Not for their coffee. Overrated IMHO. My KFC never has chicken. KFC, you had one job and you failed. I'm getting to the point I'm thinking some stores are just money laundering. We have a coffee shop that's brand new and never open 2 p.m. Close D 10 a.m. Close D. Getting ready for a wedding with family. My husband commented that he had lost weight. My sister's response was, "Yeah, and your wife put it all on." What a hateful thing to say. I'm sorry that happened to you. Thank you. It really did throw me for the rest of the day, and what made it worse is that it was super unlike her to say something like that. My wife's sister told her something like that when she was trying on her wedding dress. She wonders why we never invite her over. Pretty funny, not gonna lie. That being said, there's no way I would know if there's any truth behind it. It's just a sick burn. Supermarket checkout lady looked me straight in the eye and asked me, "Are you a boy or a girl?" Maybe she's in training to be a Pokemon professor? When this happens, I usually respond with a more offensive question. Terrible habit, really, but it always makes me feel better putting that person in the same awkward state. I was so dumbfounded I just stared at her slack-jawed like, who TF thinks it's ever not offensive to ask someone that, lol SMH. Meanwhile all of us non-binary people are like, that's a compliment. Oof, I had the opposite. I was the checkout lady and got the same question at least once a day. "Don't you think she looks tired?" 10. What does this mean? I've seen it twice now. When women usually wear makeup, and one day they don't, people usually say we look sick or tired. It hurts because it's just our natural face. At least that's what I'm assuming, that's what they're referring to. The doctor said this about a politician at the peak of her career to a lesser politician, and through media and word of mouth it turned the politician's image from the popular prime minister who was going to bring about a golden age into a frazzled, overworked woman in no fit state to be making big decisions for the country. Yesterday, your bones are always wet. If they are not wet, they are no longer yours. Apparently you actually have a thin layer over your bones and that's what's wet. The bones are bone dry. Well, I still don't feel better after hearing that statement, but thanks. Apparently, you actually have a thin layer over your bones, and that's what's wet. The bones are you are sent underscore you are sent C you are sent underscore you are sent sir, bone dry FDFY. That's why bones break. They are soggy from all that soaking. Crazy busy day at work as a hostess, and this server wasn't getting as many tables as he wanted. People kept requesting other servers, or wanted a booth, and his section was all tables kept coming up to me and berating me for not helping him make money. So I double sat him and got his 2 new tables bread and water. He came up to me and yelled at me because he could take care of his own tables. Then he said, "Man, that degree you're getting sure is helping you." Huh. I instantly burst into tears. No wonder people kept requesting other servers. My dad, when he said "F your mom, she could die for all I care," and "F you can get out of my life," really put a damper on my day. Sounds like he doesn't get much on Father's Day. Looks like someone doesn't get their yearly tie. My parents are the best I could ever ask for, but if they turned like this one day, I'd have no problem cutting ties and telling them the same. You don't have room for a person like that, regardless of the dad tag. Hopefully that can be some small comfort. The humane thing to do is to put him down. I'm sorry. Having to make that decision, lose a pet, is the worst. However, I almost wish the 2 times I've had to do it, that the vets were more direct. They basically refused to weigh in on the decision. One was kidney failure, the other was congestive heart failure, and so I felt like I had to make the choice all alone, and was scared it was the wrong one. The regret of was it the right thing, was there something else I should have could have done, was miserable. I'd brought an old friend of mine for some drinks one day. She was skint, but I didn't care. We hadn't talked properly in over a year as I lived out of town. So in the middle of the conversation, having a great laugh, she says out of nowhere, "You know, Murticus, I wasn't too happy to see you come back, but now I am." Honestly didn't know what to do, so I just laughed it off. And so I began to trod the road of silent bitterness that I still find myself on. Lol, not so silent anymore. I was dumpster diving earlier for something to eat, starving and didn't have a ton of options. Someone saw me and just said, "People like you should be executed." So that's nice. People like that should be executed. People like me should be executed. Please. Chmod plus X binary peach. Binary peach. Error, you need root privilege. Wanna talk about your situation? You could die today and the world won't miss you. An old boss. I'm sorry that your old boss said that to you, but at least you aren't working for them anymore. For the most part, that holds true for almost everyone. The world won't miss you. The people who love you and care about you, they will miss you. What your boss said can be taken in multiple ways, depending on the context and tone. It wasn't a wordy sentence or anything. My mom had been in an assisted living home for a year, and she was having difficulties. Broke her hip, thin skin, swelling legs. My mom texted me to let me know she had taken a turn for the worst. This had happened a few times over a year, so I was confident she would be alright. 45 minutes later I get a text that said she died. Push-up position hut. Boot camp. Ruined my day every time. Ha ha ha. Half right, face. Front leaning rest position move. In cadence, exercise. 1, 2, 3. I can hear that in his voice. 0.0. What branch? Any tips for joining the military? One of my best friends and I had been in a huge fight. My old-time best friend texted me stating the friend I was fighting with, and she sent me a screenshot which the girl I was fighting with said, "I'm sick to my stomach. I can't believe her. Going to throw up. We're good now. And she said she was really in a bad mood that day, so yeah. Got told I couldn't help anyone because I don't know how they feel. My entire world and sense of self was built from the ground up on serving and helping people. Making them happy. If I did, they'd return suit. I never even passed step 1. Sent me down a crisis I almost killed myself over. No fun. You're a smart brunette and him into dumb blondes. Or when asking him about sneaking around with someone, well, you didn't ask enough questions. That's not even the worst of it, lol. First one definitely sounds like a compliment if it came from a stranger. Nah, it was a dude I loved more than he loved me. What is wrong with your legs? I have vitiligo. Hard day already. I mustered up the courage to go to a friend's pool party and her friend from another school asked me this. Hurt because it's a big insecurity. I'm doing a lot better now, and I have accepted it as part of my skin and a unique part of my appearance. When I was 19 and working as a hostess in a restaurant, I happened to be randomly standing next to my coworker's 12-year-old son, and some customer says, "Oh wow, what a beautiful mother and son, he looks just like you." I would have given birth to him when I was in 2nd grade. Last night, your mother died. Not only did it ruin one day, it ruined about 200 more days. I hope you're doing okay. Random internet stranger is proud of you and loves you. Thank you. It's been over a year, and I have to say, time is the greatest healer. Unfortunately, it is no longer in remission. As someone who has had cancer, this is one of my biggest fears. Hope you are doing okay. This brings back a lot of fear. MGG for my annual checkup next Friday. Feeling the chills just seeing this. In 6th grade, this random girl came up to me at a school event and told me, "Your face looks oily." Being the naive 11-year-old, I said, "Well, I'm moisturized." And she proceeded to say, "No, it's oily." Not only did it ruin that day, it made me really self-conscious for a good while after that.